Someday you're going to wake up wondering if it's really worth all the sacrifice of our time and talents and earthly treasures for heaven. You really want to serve the Lord? It's going to cost you time. Man, I had to give up 72 hours of stuff that I had loved in order to read the Bible through every month those first few years. It's going to cost you. But guess what? God sent Revelation 3 to the early believers, reminding them of Matthew 6. In fact, the book of Revelation even really alludes to all of Christ's teaching because John heard it. Lay up your treasures in heaven. You can take people with you to heaven, but you can only send your treasures ahead, your money and your time. You know, a lot of people think, well, I'm going to have a lot of time for God in heaven. I'm going to spend time for me here. No. If you want to invest, it's going to cost you your time, talents, and earthly treasures. And that's what chapter 3 is all about. Someday, you're going to wake up weak, tired. Now, about 30 years from now, it's going to start hitting some of you when you get into your 50s. You start feeling weak. You start feeling tired. You're longing for relief from the long work weeks, and you're going to start wondering, what will heaven be like? That's why God sent Revelation 4 and 5 and 21 and 22 to the early believers. John 14:2. He's preparing a place. The God that invented all the colors of the spectrum, the God that invented all the galaxies, the God that invented all the stuff they're finding underwater. I mean, they just found this morning in Japan the first picture of the deepest fish swimming at the very, very, very bottom of the ocean. It was so pretty. It almost looked like an angel. It had these little feathery flippers, and it was just so pretty, and it was pink. And the Japanese were following it on their little robot cameras. And I thought, the God that made that fish exist under 7 miles of water, crushing anything we know. And the fish looked, it was just drinking in the water and being pink. And I thought, and that's the God of the universe, the macro and the micro. And he's making a place for me? Wow. I have reservations there. And he describes it. Someday, you will get so grieved by all the evil and all the sin and all the crime and all the pain and all the waste and all the demonism and all the prejudice of our world that you cry out to God and say, how long before you do something about this? And we all feel that. And that's why God sent Revelation 6 to 19 to the early believers, reminding them of what Paul already said. Paul quotes Leviticus, and Paul says, God said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. No one gets away with anything. God is recording it all. You know what he's using? Did you know our brains hold about, 600 quadrillion synaptic connections are in a normal brain. You know, the crossover of the neurons makes synaptic connections. So you have 600 quadrillion of those. You know what that is? That's kind of like your entire lifetime, 100 years, in 8K surround sound. So your brain is recording everything you see and hear and say and smell and think and read and whatever, daydream about. It's recording it all, and it isn't even using all of its capacity, but it has 600 quadrillion synaptic connections to store all that stuff. That, by the way, that's more than all the known stars of the universe. That's how much connection you have in your brain. And I think I don't have quite that many because mine is dissipating, but you guys have them all right now, okay? That recording is going to be played in front of God, unless he's erased it. When you and I get sin taken out of our life, when we come to Christ, he removes the record. Now, we might still remember it, but it's not in his database in heaven. But all the lost people are going to stand and see. And you know what every Revelation 20 says? Every single lost person is going to stand, and God's going to open the books, and they're going to see their whole life. And do you know what every single person going to the lake of fire is going to say? You were right, God. I deserve it. Because our works will condemn us before God unless they're forgiven by Christ. Okay, now I have 6 minutes left. Boy, this class goes fast. Someday you will wake up wondering, when God's going to fix all the pollution and extinction on this ruined earth. Did you know that birds are starting to fly across Mexico City and drop from the air because the air is so polluted that they die breathing it in while they're flying? And so you have to watch out in Mexico City. Bonnie and I just recently were teaching a marriage conference there. You have to watch out for falling birds because they die from the pollution. Someday you're going to wake up wondering if God's going to ever fix all this, and that's why God sent Revelation 20 to the early believers to remind them of 2 Peter 3:13. There's going to be a new heaven, a new earth. It's going to be perfect. It's going to start in the millennium. It's going to be rolled back, but then sin is going to be gone.